Right now at 5, a man is dead after a bar shooting in Pittsburgh.
And we've got an alert day as we have excessive heat warnings across the entire area. And we're not kidding around with these heat index values. Could be up to 120. We'll take a look at that coming up.
Plus, Pittsburgh wasn't the only town in the 4 states to see a shooting over the weekend, as a man in Joplin is found with a gunshot wound.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning, 4 states, and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. The time now is 5 a.m. I'm Caitlin O'Shaughnessy.
I'm Chris Warner. So we've got dangerous heat across the area, and we're talking extraordinarily dangerous heat. We've got heat index value potentials upwards of 120 degrees over the next few days. So this is dangerous, potentially deadly heat. Now you see we've got the excessive heat warnings for all of us. Now again, remember we're covered by several National Weather Service offices. So for Southeast Kansas and Southwest Missouri, both offices there have these excessive heat warnings running until Thursday at 10 p.m. Now in Northeast Oklahoma, what Tulsa's doing is they're expiring them at 8 p.m. tonight, and they've got another one that'll go in tomorrow and expire at 8 p.m. tomorrow night, but it wouldn't be surprising if we see these extended and continue through the week in Oklahoma as well. So we're back to this, reminding you, you've absolutely got to stay hydrated, take frequent breaks, honestly stay inside if you can. Limit those strenuous outdoor activities, wear lightweight, light-colored clothing, check on the elderly and pets, and schools back in session, administrators, you've got to treat this as if it was a snow day. You've got to monitor the temperatures at recess times and determine whether or not it's actually safe for kids to go out and play. I know it's a tough call. They see the sunshine, they want to go out, they want to play, but we're at that point where it is too dangerous to send kids out for recess right now and through the majority of this week. So we're looking at heat exhaustion likely, heat stroke possible across the area. We also have some fog to deal with out there. We don't have any advisories officially right now, but as you can see, almost right along the Highway 69 corridor from Crawford County, Cherokee, down into Ottawa and Delaware counties, we have some reduced visibility, so do watch out there for that patchy, dense fog on your morning commute. And as kids head out to school today, we're looking at 72, partly cloudy skies, the calm breeze at 7 o'clock this morning, and by the time they get home, we're looking at mostly clear skies, a light north breeze, temperatures around 98, and those heat index values up there in that 105 to 115 range by 3 o'clock this afternoon. We'll have another full look at your forecast, how long this heat will last, and whether or not there is any relief on the way here in a few more minutes. Caitlin?
Thanks, Chris. Well, Pittsburgh police say a man is dead after an early Sunday morning shooting outside of a bar. It happened by Jimmy B's bar at 202 North Locust Street around 1:15 yesterday morning. The victim has been identified as 36-year-old Justin Krogan of Pittsburgh. Police believe the shooting was an isolated incident that may have stemmed from an argument. There's been no word on a suspect of anyone in custody. However, they are asking the public for help identifying anyone in this photo of people that were at the bar. If you have any information, contact the Pittsburgh Police Department. There was also an early Sunday shooting near a bar in Joplin. This one happened around 1:30 Sunday morning in the 500 block of Joplin Avenue. Police say a patrol officer heard a gunshot, responded, and found a man with a gunshot wound. The victim was taken to the hospital where he was last reported in critical but stable condition. JPD is asking anyone with information to come forward. And to be the first to see breaking news, weather, and sports, download the KOAM News app. It's available free of charge in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. Just search for the KOAM News app. And if you've noticed more bat activity, you're not alone. It's that time of year when bats are migrating through Missouri, and Nicolette Zangara tells us why it's not a reason to worry.
It's late summer, which means bats have started their migration to find a place to overwinter as temperatures turn colder. But what does that mean for us? Well, you might see a couple of rogue bats on the side of your house or near an entryway. But Francis Galiski with the Missouri Department of Conservation says it's not something to be too concerned about.
In all likelihood, is just going to be there a little bit, because when you think about it, as it gets colder, that is not a very survivable condition for that bat. It's going to move on to a cave, an abandoned mine, somewhere where it's much more comfortable, where it's out of the weather.
In the spring, it's more common to find a colony of bats trying to reside in your house. But this time of year, they are resting before it gets too cold. Bats provide lots of benefits for our environment. and seeing one nearby is a good thing for pests like mosquitoes.
Bats provide a huge benefit by eating flying insects. Some of them do some pollination things, but the primary benefit they provide is eating flying insects. That could be mosquitoes. They also eat a number of moths that can produce caterpillars that can be agricultural pests or garden pests. So before we go being scared by that bat, let's thank the bat too for all the benefits it's providing us.
If you can't handle a bat temporarily residing near your home for a few days, you can call the Missouri Department of Conservation. They'll walk you through all the steps to ensure that you and the bat are safe.
Main Street Axe Company in Joplin held a hatchet marathon for throwers of all levels. It was a double elimination tournament and it included lunch and drink specials. A skee ball tournament also took place after the marathon. That's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes, coming up on the KOAM Morning News. MSSU coach Atiba Bradley is honored in a big way by the state of Missouri. Plus, more than 35,000 people suffer cardiac arrest outside a hospital. We'll have what you need to know about helping a person survive using an AED. And it's going to be a hot week. We'll have how parents and teachers can expect the weather to get with Chris in the Skywatch Weather Center. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. We'll be right back.
Well, there's still 10 days until the Missouri Southern Lions open their season at home against Northwest Missouri State. Lions head coach Atiba Bradley had quite the surprise from his family and local politicians during his team meeting on Sunday night. Now, members of the media were invited to the event as Missouri State Senator Jill Carter arrived to present a resolution to Lions head coach Atiba Bradley. The coach's family was there to see him accept the resolution for his significant accomplishments as an African-American head coach in the state of Missouri. The plaque he received is an honor by all members of the Missouri Senate. It is also notable because Bradley is the only African-American college football head coach in the state of Missouri, with the exception of Lincoln University.
To get acknowledged at this level, it means a lot. You know, it means a lot because I care a lot about our community. I care a lot about the people of Joplin and the 4 states, and it means a lot. These young men that I coach, these are the reason I do it. I just seeing their faces light up when they have successes in life, in the classroom, on the football field, that's the reward I get to see every day. And so, whether it took a year, 2 years, 10 years, it doesn't matter. I get a reward every day I come to work.
The Missouri Southern Lions softball team was out on the diamond Sunday morning, and no, they weren't playing, but the Lions hosted their yard game fundraiser. Now, softball fans and MSSU supporters got out on the field playing your typical backyard games like croquet, mini golf, and even cornhole. Some of the games got creative as student athletes got to set up their own game stations. They even held a private auction. The softball team wanted to use this opportunity to help connect with the community, raise money, and even bond as a team.
Getting people together and bringing families together and everybody being able to meet our new team. It's a lot of really good people within our program, and anytime you can get all of them together, it's always a good time. Secondly, it's to raise money for our program. It's the yard game fundraiser, so trying to have some fun out here but also raise some money. When you put people in a new situation, it's always uncomfortable at the beginning, but then when they come, like at the end of today, you're going to see real sides of people, and it's something that I value.
Well, Pittsburgh State's Cordell Tench has just about accomplished everything you can as a track runner at the collegiate level. The amazing journey for Tench continues. Now, Tench gets to showcase what he can do at the World Championships in Budapest, Hungary. Tench is now headed to the semifinals of the men's 110-meter hurdles. Tench didn't have his best time with 13.49 seconds. He finished in 4th place in his heat on Sunday morning, but it's still good enough to move on to the semis. Tench is set for his next race on this afternoon at 1:05 Central Time. The Kansas City Chiefs come off a big night in Arizona, not quite like the night that they had in Arizona 6 months ago, but the Chiefs were able to pick up their first win of the preseason after a 38-10 win over the Arizona Cardinals.
He's glad he got in there and got some work done, and and was able to get the offense in the end zone there. So that's a positive. I thought the offensive line did a nice job for them. The receivers, we had a lot of guys catch the ball, which is positive.
Yeah, I mean, I was telling y'all back in OTAs, I could see the talent. I mean, 1 through 9, 10. I mean, like we had guys throughout the entire roster that were making plays, and you saw guys that kind of went down with injuries that didn't get to play this week, that made plays last week, and you saw other guys just step right in and make plays.
Still to come, the city of Paris will ban children's pony rides. Plus, we've got dangerous heat to contend with for nearly every day this week. We'll take a look at that forecast when the KOAM Morning News returns. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News, 5:16 now on this Monday morning, and we've got some heat to deal with. We have excessive heat warnings across the entire area. Now, Wichita and Springfield have gone ahead and put these excessive heat warnings out until 10 o'clock Thursday evening. Tulsa's still going on a day-by-day basis, so they have one that runs today until 8 p.m. and another one tomorrow that'll run until 8 p.m. And again, as we continue, I wouldn't be surprised if we continue to see these be extended, because we're looking at the potential for heat index values upwards of 120 degrees, especially out to the west, where we're expecting to be a little hotter over the next few days than we are off to the east. So you need to make sure that you are staying hydrated, taking frequent breaks, limiting strenuous outdoor activities, wearing lightweight, light-colored clothing, check on elderly and pets. In all honesty, if you don't have to be outside, simply do not be, because heat index values up to 120. We're not just talking about dangerous heat, we're talking about potentially deadly heat for some folks. And I know kids, everybody getting back to school. We're all back now. We got school this week. Administrators, you've got to consider this like a snow day. I'm not saying cancel class, of course, but what we're saying is you've got to weigh the potential risks of kids playing outdoors for recess. You're going to have to look at these temperatures, look at the heat index values by recess time, and consider having them stay indoors, because especially children and the elderly are very susceptible to this kind of heat, and it makes it dangerous to let them out for recess. They may get frustrated. They're going to be upset. Like, why can't we go outside? Because they don't really fully understand. They see it's sunny outside. Why can't they play? But you got to weigh those risks out there and consider keeping them indoors this week for those recess periods. I know that's tough, but we've got to consider that, because we're at this point of heat exhaustion likely, heat stroke possible. We're only 10 degrees off of making heat stroke highly likely with some of this heat. So that's what we're talking about. This is very dangerous and, again, potentially deadly heat across the area. And for some of us, say Vernon, Crawford, Cherokee, Ottawa, Delaware counties, right along the Highway 69 corridor, dealing with some dense fog this morning out there, at least some patchy dense fog. No official advisories, but if you are commuting this morning, you got to make sure you are prepared for that. Kids getting off to school about 7 o'clock. We're looking at partly cloudy, 72 with a calm breeze. And by the time that bus brings them home, boy, it is going to be toasty. Upper 90s near 100, a light north breeze, and those heat index values easily pushing up to about 110. Right now, we're sitting at 76 in Joplin, but this is our problem. We have this dew point of 74 and a humidity of 94%, and that's why the heat index values are much worse this go around. Even though our temperatures are similar to where they were a couple of weeks ago when we were dealing with the dangerous heat, we're looking at much higher dew point and humidity levels across the area. And we're already warm. 77 Iola, Fort Scott, 72 Lamar, 74 in Pittsburgh, 76 in Miami. As we get our morning started, we heat up quickly as we go into the upper 80s by late morning with mostly clear skies, and mostly clear skies are the theme as we go through the day. Highs in the upper 90s, lower 100s across the area, and no real relief from the heat through the evening either. We're still hot through the evening hours, and our overnight lows, upper 70s, lower 80s across the area. So that's why we have that alert day, and we have alert days all the way through Thursday, and watching that possibility on Friday for dangerous heat as well. And you can see why. Temperatures lower 100s now through Thursday, upper 90s near 100 Friday, and then by this weekend we have some thunderstorm chances and an opportunity to cool back around normal as we go back into the low 90s and upper 80s. That's a check of your forecast. We'll be back with Health Watch right after this.
Topping Health Watch this morning, health officials around the world are tracking a highly mutated coronavirus variant. The variant is called BA.286 and has more than 30 amino acid changes to its spike protein. The World Health Organization labeled the variant a variant under monitoring on Thursday. So far, only a handful of cases have been reported in 4 countries. That includes 1 case in Michigan. Scientists say it's still unclear how transmissible the new strain is or its severity. The director of CDC, Dr. Mandy Cohen, says the variant shouldn't be cause for alarm and that the agency is more prepared than ever to respond to changes in the virus. The party may be winding down for booze in America. A recent Gallup poll shows more people believe alcohol is harmful. 39% of Americans said 1 to 2 drinks per day is bad for your health. That's an 11% increase from 2018 and a record high number. The survey also showed the younger you are, the more likely you are to believe booze is bad. That's in line with the World Health Organization, which recently determined no level of alcohol consumption is safe. Americans don't seem that worried about pot, though. Only 23% considered marijuana very harmful. And do you prefer getting your vaccinations in your right arm or your left arm? A new study suggests that when it comes to the COVID-19 booster, your choice may make a difference. German researchers examined data from more than 300 people who received the mRNA vaccine as well as a booster. They found those who received both shots in the same arm had a stronger immune response than those who switched arms for the jabs. The study showed that 2 weeks after the booster, the killer T cells were present in 67% of those who received the shots in the same arm. That is compared to 43% of those who used both arms. And more than 359,000 people suffer cardiac arrest outside of the hospital every year in the U.S., and up to 80% of them die before reaching the hospital, according to the American Heart Association. Using an automated external defibrillator, or AED, can significantly increase chances of survival. But you have to know how to use it. So Mandy Gather has more on what a doctor says you need to know before there's an emergency.
It can happen in an instant, and a person in cardiac arrest needs help right away.
You have 5 minutes. You have 5 minutes from the person fainting till the AED restores a normal rhythm before you are likely to sustain brain damage.
Dr. Naomi Cortez with Nationwide Children's Hospital says she sees all too often the consequences of people not knowing what to do.
In the last year, I have had patients who have fainted at school. The AED was around the corner. Nobody used it, and the child died.
That's why she says it's critical to know 3 things before a cardiac arrest emergency. First, people need access to automated external defibrillators so they can be used. They need to also be able to get to them quickly, Cortez says, within 2 minutes of any place in a building. Finally, people need to know how to use the AED, be comfortable getting it off the wall and putting it on the patient. She says the device will do the rest.
The minute someone faints and they don't wake up, somebody should be calling 911. Somebody should be doing CPR, and somebody should be getting that AED.
A person may be in cardiac arrest if they collapse suddenly, pass out, aren't breathing, or are gasping for air, don't respond to shouting or shaking, or if they don't have a pulse. Cortez says running drills every year can help get people prepared just in case.
The doctor says cardiac arrest can be caused by structural problems or abnormalities in the heart, but she says it's impossible to screen for all things that can cause this dangerous condition. For example, a heart infection or a hit to the chest can also cause cardiac arrest. That's why she says it's always good to be prepared. And that's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
And we've got an alert day today all the way through Thursday for dangerous heat across the area. We're talking heat index values could be as high as 120 in some areas. We'll have a full look at that forecast when the KOAM Morning News returns.
Right now at 5:30, Joplin High School students now have a safer way to get to school.
And we've got alert days now through Thursday for excessive heat warnings and heat index values as high as 120. We'll take a look at that coming up.
Plus, it's back to school time, and First Baptist Church in Oronogo hosts a back to school party.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning, 4 states, and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. The time now is 5:29 a.m. I'm Caitlin O'Shaughnessy.
I'm Chris Warner. So we've been talking about the dangerous heat. We knew it was coming this week. It started over the weekend, and it is going to continue for the majority of the week ahead as well. So it makes it very dangerous. It makes it unpleasant, and it is going to be miserable over the next several days. We have excessive heat warnings. Now, Wichita and Springfield have gone ahead and put these out through 10 p.m. this Thursday, whereas Tulsa is still kind of going on a day-by-day basis at this point. The excessive heat warning expires at 8 p.m. tonight and goes back into effect tomorrow and runs until 8 p.m. tomorrow night. But again, with this dangerous heat this week, this will probably continue to be extended over the next several days, as we are talking about heat index values once again as high as 120 degrees out there. So stay hydrated and take frequent breaks. Honestly, if you don't have to be outdoors, simply do not be. But if you have to be, limit those strenuous outdoor activities, wear lightweight, light-colored clothing, and check on the elderly and pets, and of course keep an eye on children as well. A lot of kids back to school this week. Everybody getting back out there. School districts have really got to take into consideration the dangerous heat index values when it comes to outdoor time and things like recess. It's just not safe enough to let the kids go out and play. I know they don't get it. They see the sunshine. They wonder why they can't, but it is just too dangerous for them to be outside and playing for recess. They're going to get too hot too quickly. So really, we're urging schools to seriously consider that. Keep the kids indoors this week. I know it stinks. They don't like it, but it's got to be that way because we're looking at heat exhaustion likely, heat stroke possible. We're not far off from heat stroke becoming highly likely across the area. In addition to the heat, we're dealing with some dense fog across parts of southeast Kansas and then right along the Highway 69 corridor. No official advisories or anything at this point, but if you are driving, watch out for this patchy dense fog across the area in parts of southeast Kansas and back down into northeastern Oklahoma. As kids get on the bus this morning, again, not bad initially, muggy, but not bad. We're talking about 72 with a calm breeze at 7 a.m. By the time they get home, though, upper 90s, mostly clear skies, a light north breeze, and heat index values easily at about 110 to 115. Caitlin?
Thanks, Chris. Well, the Lutie School District is going back to a 5-day-a-week school week. Elizabeth Bamby-Tree reports from Ozark County on the reason the district is ditching 4-day class schedules.
The district went to a 4-day-a-week school week 3 years ago. They hoped that this would retain and recruit teachers, something that many districts are turning to, but this year they're switching back to 5 days a week. They say it turns out that this will give them better opportunities for staff and for students.
This year, Sierra Scott almost had to make a really tough decision. She's a new mom. Her district was going from 4 to 5 days a week. She wasn't sure she could do it.
It was hard for me because obviously I love being a teacher. It's something that I've always wanted to do and I love it, but I also didn't want to miss out on
Time with her son, a decision she didn't have to make.
I was stuck until they told me that they were going to get the daycare, which immediately I was like, yes, because I can get both.
One of the many big changes coming to the district this year is free daycare for staff as they move back to longer work schedules. Superintendent Kathleen Cole says it's support that helps maintain teachers, not the 4-day work week. The district is rural. Many teachers drive upwards of 45 minutes to get to school.
Originally opted to go to 4 days a week to help with that. We found after 3 years it really was not making any difference.
So Cole asked her staff what they wanted. Overwhelmingly, they wanted the 5-day-a-week model.
To help improve MAP scores, EOC scores, really to ensure that these kids were getting meals 5 days a week.
Lutie has 114 students K through 12th grade. All 114 students are on free or reduced lunch. Teachers and staff couldn't ensure the students had options for food if they weren't in school.
Send backpacks home on Friday, but that's still 3 days that the kids that we have to worry about, are they getting enough food at home?
Other perks include a new gym for staff members to use.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Meeting students where they need to make sure they are at their best and providing staff what they need to be sure they bring their best.
And as far as being able to recruit and retain staff, the district is almost at full capacity with only one position open at the moment, and that is for a music teacher.
And Joplin High School students now have a safer option to get to school. Saturday, the Joplin School District held a ribbon cutting for a new crosswalk on 20th Street near the school. The crosswalk features a center island and bright flashing lights to alert motorists that someone is crossing. Officials say there is still some electrical work to be done, but otherwise the project is complete just in time for the start of classes today. And as school is preparing to start around the 4 states, the community of Quapaw came together for the Quapaw Bash. The event was an opportunity for the community to get to know local public safety staff while enjoying various activities before the start of the school year. It included hamburgers and hot dogs, a jump house, water slide, dunk tank, and more.
You know, nowadays with the economy and how hard it is to go do stuff, especially with money, you know, we kind of want something where people can come have fun and do something without having to worry about money. We got free hot dogs, free hamburgers, free fun.
20 different organizations attended and contributed to the event. And First Baptist Church of Oronogo hosted a back-to-school block party in Oronogo City Park. The event gets families together to have fun before the school year begins. First Baptist made this event possible from offerings at the church. They also want to remind people of the importance of God in the community.
It means to simply do what Jesus did. Go to the people in the community and serve them and show them and tell them of the love of God. And so it is one of the most basic functions of the church, is to get out in the community and show people the love of God. And so it's crucial.
The event featured snow cones, bouncy houses, face painting, food, and loads of fun. Schiffer Decker Aquatic Center hosted a doggy dive-in event that took place Saturday. The event allowed dogs of all sizes and ages and breeds to enjoy the water before the pool is drained. It also gave them a way to cool down and escape the heat of the summer. Typically around 30 dogs came, and for dogs like Salvador, it was the best day of his life.
He loves it. He loves going in the water.
Dogs have a lot of fun when they come out. They get to run around, jump in the water, play with other dogs. It's just like a good way to get them some exercise and kind of make friends with other dogs and just have a good day.
Doggy dive-in costs $5 for dogs, while humans can get in for free.
I sold the doe $900 straight away. Buyer number is 13. Buyer.
The Heartland Showcase Boer Goat Sale took place at the Bourbon County Fairgrounds in Fort Scott. The event was open to the public and began at 12 p.m. Attendees were able to bid on nearly 100 goats at the auction. Bidders were also able to participate in the sale online.
The Heartland Showcase sale has been going on for 10 years, and for 3 years we've also included a show, and we put on 2 shows, ABGA shows, on Saturday before our sale on Sundays.
The Heartland Showcase Boer Goat Sale takes place on the 3rd week in August every year. Carthage residents had the opportunity to attend the 2nd annual Sudstock Saturday. The purpose of the event was to educate the community about substance misuse and prevention. The event was carnival themed with various shows under the big top tent and water activities to stay cool. And that's a look at some of our top news stories coming up on this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. Homeless veterans in Colorado get a chance at having a home, all thanks to a special project that started out of Kansas City. Plus, the U.S., Japan, and South Korea met at Camp David for a strategic meeting that ended with stronger ties for the countries. Well, the latest on KOAM Morning News. But first, here's a live look from Soaring Heights in Joplin in honor of their first day back to school. Topping World Watch, a British nurse has been found guilty in the horrific murders of 7 babies at a Northwest England hospital. A Manchester court convicted 33-year-old Lucy Letby on Friday for killing 5 baby boys and 2 girls while working at the neonatal unit at Countess of Chester Hospital. She was also convicted of attempting to kill 6 other infants at the facility between 2015 and 2016. Prosecutors say Letby injected air into the infants' blood and stomachs, overfed them with milk, poisoned them with insulin, and physically assaulted the infants. Police officers say they found a handwritten note at Letby's home during a search which said in part, quote, "I killed them on purpose because I'm not good enough to care for them. I am evil. I did this," end quote. And voters in Ecuador headed to the polls on Sunday to cast their ballots in a special election to choose a new president. The vote comes at an especially tense time. Earlier this month, the presidential candidate who campaigned on an anti-corruption platform was shot to death after a campaign rally. During Sunday's voting, over 100,000 police officers and soldiers stood guard against the possible violence. The next president will be called on to address widespread demands for safety in the country, and voting is mandatory for most adults in Ecuador, but some people may sit this election out and pay a fine because going to the polls appears risky. And the familiar sight of children riding ponies through parks in Paris will be a thing of the past in about a year and a half. That's because the city is banning pony rides for children in its public parks beginning in 2025. Pony rides have been a popular feature for decades, mostly on the weekends and during school vacations. But animal rights activists launched a campaign claiming the ponies were not being treated well. They say the animals work long days without having their bits removed, have no permanent access to fresh water and hay, and suffer from hours as they're transported to the parks and trucks. And the U.S., Japan, and South Korea reaching a landmark agreement at Friday's Camp David summit. The three expanding security ties as the threats from China and North Korea loom over the Asian and the Pacific. Lucas Donaldson is at the White House with the latest.
President Biden claims the summit was not about China, but experts say Beijing's growing nuclear stockpile is exactly why the leaders of South Korea and Japan arrived at Camp David.
The summit was not about China. That was not the purpose of the meeting, but it did come. China obviously came up. Not to say we don't share concerns about the economic coercion or heightened tensions caused by China, but this summit was really about our relationship with each other and deepening cooperation across an entire range of issues.
Recall a few weeks ago those 11 Chinese and Russian warships sailing together near Alaska. On the eve of the Camp David summit, that same flotilla was spotted cruising near Japan, a not-so-subtle message. The U.S. military returning the favor recently, dispatching the ballistic missile submarine USS Kentucky, known as the thoroughbred of the fleet, to South Korea for the first time in 40 years. Clearly a message to North Korea as well. Known as boomers, these American submarines carry 70% of America's deployed nuclear arsenal. Beijing's saber-rattling near Taiwan continued Saturday. China launching over 40 aircraft and some warships near the island as Taiwan's vice president stopped in the United States. The Pentagon says China will have 1,500 nuclear warheads by 2035. China has recently built 3 large missile fields in the western part of the country. Beijing also has strategic bombers and ballistic missile submarines, completing the nuclear triad. Congressman Mike Gallagher, the Republican chairman of the Select Committee on China, says the threat isn't getting enough attention.
I do want to hear a clear assessment of the threat posed by China. And at times I'm mystified that there is so much hesitancy to say what is obviously true.
In Omaha, the head of the U.S. Military Strategic Command, which is in charge of America's nuclear arsenal, says China today has more ICBM missile launchers than the United States. And that's a look at some of your biggest headlines from around the world. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News, 546 now on this Monday morning across the area, and we've got dangerous heat to contend with this week. We've got excessive heat warnings for the entire area for this week. Now, Wichita and Springfield offices have gone ahead and put these excessive heat warnings out until 10 o'clock this Thursday. Tulsa, at least at this point, still taking a day-by-day approach. So they've got an excessive heat warning today through 8 p.m. and another one tomorrow through 8 p.m. But again, with this dangerous heat, these will probably continue to be extended as we go through this week. So we want to remind you, you've got to stay safe. You've got to stay hydrated, take frequent breaks, limit strenuous outdoor activities, wear lightweight, light-colored clothes, check on elderly, the pets, and children as well. They're susceptible to this heat whether they realize it or not. And of course, if you don't have to be outdoors this week, do your best not to be. And if you have to be, again, limit that time. Because we're at this range. Heat index values could be as high as 120 degrees. And in some cases over the weekend, even to our north, they were in excess of 130. So we are at heat exhaustions likely, heat strokes possible, could be even highly likely, especially for some of those more sensitive age groups out there with this dangerous heat. So our temperatures this week are actually not that far different from the last time we dealt with excessive heat, but what is different is our dew points and humidity are very high and will remain that way. And that's why we actually are dealing with some dense fog from Yates Center, Chanute, down to Pittsburgh, Miami, and just to the north of Grove. So if you are traveling Highway 69 or back through parts of southeast Kansas, you got to make sure that you're watching out for that patchy dense fog out there. Still no official advisories out, but if that changes, we will let you know. Kids getting on the bus about 7 o'clock this morning, looking at 72 degrees, partly cloudy, but still muggy. And then we're talking 98 by the time they get off the bus at 3, a light north breeze, heat index values by 3, upwards of 110 degrees across the area. Right now we're sitting at 76 in Joplin. This is what we're talking about. We have that very muggy dew point of 74. Humidity is 94% out there. And around the region, it is a warm start. We're talking upper 70s, Yates Center, Iola, Fort Scott, mid 70s, Nevada, Stockton, a little cooler Pittsburgh and Parsons, 73, 71, even in the Neosho, 70, and then 75, Chatopa, Miami, 74 in the Neosho. As we get our morning started, Again, we've got alert days through Thursday for this heat. Partly cloudy to mostly clear skies, upper 80s by 11. And as we head into the afternoon, highs today, upper 90s, lower 100s. So again, like I said, the temperatures are similar to a couple of weeks ago when we dealt with this. It's the humidity and dew point levels that are much higher, making this heat dangerous out there. Heat index values, again, want to emphasize, as high as 120 degrees, potentially higher in some cases. So you have got to take this seriously. And for schools, we've been mentioning this, and we just want to remind schools, because I know there are some school administrators watching these shows right now, you've got to treat this as if it was extreme cold. These kids cannot really go out for recess today. It is going to be too dangerous for them. I know they don't like it. It sucks because to them it's warm and sunny, but it's too dangerous to go outside and play and run and jump and bounce in this kind of heat. You've got to take that into consideration over the next several days. Our evening, hot as well, still in the 90s. Overnight lows only back into the upper 70s, lower 80s, so no relief there. We hang on to the triple digits and the warm overnights through at least Thursday. We're watching Friday as we still get close to 100 degrees, and so we could still be dealing with the excessive heat then, but there is good news. There's light at the end of this tunnel. If we can get through this week into the weekend, our rain chances are limited at this point. At least they're there, but the more important thing is our temperatures fall back. Upper 80s, lower 90s, and we hang on to the upper 80s and low 90s as we kick off the next work week. So next week, kids can get back out on the playground and have some fun, but this week, absolutely not. It's too dangerous for anyone to be outside. And again, if your job requires that you're outside, make sure you're taking precautions. That's Check Your Forecast. We'll be back with more right after this, but first, we're going to head outside. This is Soaring Heights Elementary, and that is our very own Amber Jenkins live in Joplin, as again, today is the first day back into school in Joplin. We'll be right back after this.
A village of tiny homes is being built to help homeless veterans. As Andrea Henderson tells us, the goal of these homes is to get the veterans ready for permanent housing.
Cutting, welding, and putting the finishing touches on 26 tiny homes designed specifically for veterans.
The windows are offset so you're not peering in your neighbor's home. Walls are a little thicker so it's quiet, and then the layout and design of the furniture itself allows the veterans' back to be against the wall and all entrances and everything visible.
The village off Mountain Brook Drive in Longmont will include 21 houses that are 240 square feet in size, as well as 5 family homes that can sleep up to 7. The goal, to help homeless veterans get back on their feet.
The intent is for this to be a really beautiful shared space for community connection among veterans and for healing.
The homes are being built by Veterans Community Project, an organization that started in Kansas City.
This was founded in 2016 by a group of combat vets that came together in Kansas City to solve some of the community challenges they were seeing for their fellow brothers and sisters.
Since then, it's grown to several other cities, including Longmont.
The success rate that they were seeing with veterans moving from the village into permanent housing was 85%, which is more than double the national average for that permanent housing.
The village also has a large community center where veterans will meet with their on-site case manager each week.
You know, if that's somebody that needs job training, we're going to focus on getting them the tools that they need. If it's someone that has maybe some long ignored health concerns, we're going to connect them with those services. And really all that we do is connect people with those services.
I can't think of a better cause to give back to our veterans who have already sacrificed so much to protect our country. Thank you for your service, and we'll be right back after the break. The Bean in Chicago is getting some work done. Public access to the Bean will be limited through spring of 2024 as construction crews touch up the pavement and upgrade accessibility. The landmark, formerly known as Cloud Gate, is a tourist hotspot in Millennium Park. Chicago's Department of Cultural Affairs says the improvements are part of a larger project to enhance visitor experience at the park as it approaches its 20-year birthday. And Hefty is bringing back the iconic Zoo Pals plates. There are 10 colorful fun characters that serve as disposable plates, such as Cosmo the cow, Curly the pig, Tina the tiger, and Speckles the ladybug. Each plate has a main section and 2 ears or feet for side dishes. The plates were a lunchtime staple back in the 2000s and early 2010s, but were discontinued in 2014. The plates are available exclusively online in 20 packs and 15 packs.
All right, we've got an alert day now until Thursday for dangerous heat across the area with excessive heat warnings for all of us. And we're talking heat index values could be as high as 120 degrees over the next several days. So make sure you're taking precautions. If you don't have to be outside, don't be outside. As we get our morning started, we'll be partly cloudy to mostly clear, and we're going to go quickly into the upper 80s by late morning. And as we head into the afternoon, we've got highs upper 90s, lower 100s across the area. So for those of you at home, these temperatures aren't dissimilar from what we saw a couple of weeks ago, but the reason our heat index values are so much higher is our dew point and humidity levels are considerably higher than where they were a couple of weeks ago as well. As we head into the evening, no real relief from the heat. We stay muggy, we stay hot. We're still at 90 by 8 o'clock, 86 by 10. Overnight lows upper 70s and lower 80s, so no relief overnight either. Triple digits continue at least through Thursday, hence the alert days, and we're watching Friday as we get really darn close to 100 again. But the good news is, as we head into the weekend, we've got some isolated thunderstorm chances and, more importantly, much cooler temperatures as we drop back into the upper 80s and lower 90s. Let's check your forecast. We got a whole nother hour of the KOAM Morning News right after this.
Right now at 6, a Pittsburgh man is dead after early Sunday morning shooting outside of a bar.
And we've got an alert day today for dangerous heat across the area. These alert days continue through Thursday. We'll talk about that coming up.
Plus, local hatchet throwers gather at Main Street Axe Company in Joplin for a hatchet marathon.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning, 4 states, and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. The time now is 6 a.m. I'm Caitlin O'Shaughnessy.
I'm Chris Warner. So as we just mentioned, we've got alert days now through Thursday. We are looking at heat index values as high as 120 degrees in some cases. In fact, they could be even higher than that. Over the weekend, our friends up in North Kansas City, Lawrence area, saw heat index values as high as 134 degrees. So this is extremely dangerous heat, and that's why we have excessive heat warnings across the entire area. Now, again, as we've mentioned, there are multiple National Weather Service offices that cover our viewing area, but Wichita and Springfield have both gone ahead and put these excessive heat warnings out until 10 o'clock this Thursday. And for Tulsa, it's still kind of going on a day-by-day basis with this, but I'm sure these will continue to be extended. Runs until 8 o'clock tonight and then resumes tomorrow afternoon and runs until 8 o'clock Tuesday. But again, I wouldn't be surprised if those get extended. So again, the number one safety tip at this point, if you don't have to be outside, don't be. But if you do, if your job requires it, if you've got to be outdoors, you got to stay hydrated, take frequent breaks, limit strenuous activities, wear lightweight, light-colored clothing where possible, check on the elderly and pets and the children because these are all age groups that are susceptible to this kind of heat. So this message also for school administrators, everybody back in school this week, you've got to really take into consideration how dangerous this heat is going to be as we head into the morning and afternoon hours, and make a determination whether recess is really something they should be doing, because putting kids out, running around, jumping, having a great time, they're not paying attention to their bodies. They're not paying attention to how hot they are. And this heat is extremely dangerous and potentially deadly as we have the heat exhaustion likely, heat stroke possible. And if we do happen to breach 130, we're talking heat stroke is highly likely. You've got to take this seriously. In addition to the heat, because of how high our humidity and dew point levels are, parts of southeast Kansas and northeastern Oklahoma, we're dealing with some patchy, dense fog. Chanute, about a half-mile visibility, a little over a mile and a half in Pittsburgh. So make sure you're slowing down, giving yourself time to get where you're going this morning. We're looking at 72 by 7 a.m. when the kids get on the bus with a calm breeze, but by 3 o'clock, hot. We're talking upper 90s, lower 100s, and heat index values easily 110 to 115. So again, just make sure you're taking precautions today. There is relief on the way. There's a light at the end of this tunnel, and we'll have another full look at your forecast here in a few more minutes. Caitlin?
Thanks, Chris. Well, Pittsburgh police say a man is dead after an early Sunday morning shooting outside of a bar. It happened by Jimmy B's bar at 202 North Locust Street around 1:15 yesterday morning. The victim has been identified as 36-year-old Justin Krogan of Pittsburgh. Police believe the shooting was an isolated incident that may have stemmed from an argument. There's been no word on a suspect or of anyone in custody. However, they are asking the public for help identifying anyone in this photo of people who were at the bar. If you have any information, please contact the Pittsburgh Police Department. And there was also an early Sunday morning shooting near a bar in Joplin. This one happened around 1:30 yesterday morning in the 500 block of Joplin Avenue. Police say a patrol officer heard a gunshot, responded, and found a man with a gunshot wound. The victim was taken to the hospital where he was last reported in critical but stable condition. JPD is asking anyone with information to come forward. A Springfield business is the latest victim looking for answers after someone stole its AC unit last week, and it was all caught on camera. Elizabeth Van Matrie has what police say you can do to protect your air conditioners.
Appointment hours at White Smiles Dental have been modified this week because the AC is out. Something Dr. Preston White got a call about on Monday morning before heading into work.
She's like, have you been to the office recently? And I said, no. And she said, did you change something with the air conditioning? And I said, no.
Dr. White says he looked around this corner and the back of his office building looked unusual.
Usually there's 2 4-ton units sitting here. There's not wires and pipes hanging out of the wall. And usually my security light is not painted black.
The AC wasn't broken. It was stolen.
The guys who came in didn't look like they were concerned about the camera. They spray painted all the security lights black, but then they didn't bother the camera.
The cameras all around the building got clear shots. In the video, you can see one man in a hat cut the wires and another man in a hoodie come around the corner. Then they bring a truck and a trailer out the back. The storm Sunday night didn't impact what they were doing. You can see them loading the units on the back and driving away. Chris Swatters, the public information officer with the Springfield Police Department, says having a camera can really impact the outcome of stolen property crimes.
Our bread and butter for being able to identify the individuals who commit these crimes is video evidence. So the best thing that we can recommend to folks is if you don't have a camera system, to get one.
The dental office to the right of the building also had its AC unit stolen. SPD says the men likely were looking for scraps and copper to sell.
Carthage residents had the opportunity to attend the second annual Sudstock Saturday. The purpose of the event is to educate the community about substance misuse and prevention. The event was carnival themed with various shows under the Big Top tent and water activities to stay cool. And Main Street Axe Company in Joplin held a hatchet marathon for throwers of all levels. It was a double elimination tournament and included lunch and drink specials. A skee ball tournament also took place after the marathon. The Heartland Showcase Boer Goat Sale took place at the Bourbon County Fairgrounds in Fort Scott.
I sold the doe $900 straight away. Buyer number is 13, buyer 13.
The event was open to the public and began at 12 p.m. Attendees were able to bid on nearly 100 goats at the auction. Bidders were also able to participate in the sale online.
The Heartland Showcase sale has been going on for 10 years, and for 3 years we've also included a show, and we put on 2 shows, ABGA shows, on Saturday before our sale on Sunday.
The Heartland Showcase Boer Goat Sale takes place on the 3rd week in August every year. And that's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, we are live at Soaring Heights Elementary School in Joplin for the first day of school. Plus, the film Oppenheimer reaches more milestones and has now crossed the $700 million mark in worldwide box office. And Chris Warner returns with another look at your Monday forecast. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. We'll be right back, but first, here's a live look from Soaring Heights in Joplin in honor of their first day of school. Despite a hurricane and an earthquake, there's still movie and music news coming out of Tinseltown. Here's David Daniel with today's Hollywood Minute.
Why? Why? How about because this is the most important thing to ever happen in the history of the world?
More milestones for Oppenheimer. Christopher Nolan's epic about the father of the atomic bomb has crossed the $700 million mark in worldwide box office, and it's cracked the all-time top 5 of the biggest grossing IMAX releases, topped only by the 2 Avatar movies, Star Wars: The Force Awakens and Avengers: Endgame.
No one ever warned us about the testing and what it would cause.
My family personally have died of cancer and other illnesses known to be plausible from exposure to radiation.
The documentary Downwind looks at the continuing effects of the 928 large-scale nuclear weapon detonations at the Nevada test site. Featuring Michael Douglas and Louis Black and narrated by Martin Sheen, Downwind is now playing in theaters and on demand.
Yeah, I'm taking center stage, 'cause tonight I'll come first. If you're standing in my way, you better move for
Go ahead, call Idina Menzel a drama queen. That's the title of her new album. The Tony winner's disc of original dance and pop songs is out now. Feeling the beat in Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
Yeah, we've got ourselves excessive heat warnings across the area today. We have alert days now until Thursday with those excessive heat warnings. Heat index values as high as 120, and here's a look at where they are, and they are for all of us through at least Thursday. We'll take another look at your forecast here in just a few more minutes after the KOAM Morning News returns.
Good morning. It's the first day of school for students in Joplin. We're here live at Soaring Heights Elementary School. Soon we're going to interview the principal of Soaring Heights Elementary School, Kathy Boer. But right now, campus is pretty sleepy. You got some teachers piling in, but you can tell they're eager, setting up their classroom before the students start piling in. In the front of the school, that's where the bus riders are going to be, and behind me, sooner or later, you're going to start seeing cars filling in and kids getting ready to start their first day of school. We'll be right back after this.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. It is now 6:17 on this Monday morning. I almost forgot what day of the week it is. Unfortunately, I do not have good news for you out there. We have excessive heat warnings across the entire area this morning, and they run, and again, we have several weather service offices that cover us, but we've got Wichita and Springfield both putting these out until 10 o'clock Thursday. Tulsa still at this point kind of going on a day-by-day basis. So we've got the excessive heat warning Northeast Oklahoma that runs until 8 o'clock tonight, and then we'll go back into effect tomorrow and run until 8 o'clock tomorrow evening. But again, with this dangerous heat this week, this will very likely be extended as we continue. So we want to remind folks, first off, the number one safety tip for this dangerous heat this week, if you don't have to be outside, don't. A lot of kids going back to school. We've got our own Amber Jenkins out there at Soaring Heights in Joplin. Majority of the 4-state students will be back in school today. School administrators, you've got to be absolutely certain about things today and through this week in terms of recess. These kids, they're going to run, they're going to play, they're going to jump. They just haven't seen their friends all year. They're back in school. They want to have fun, but it is going to be too dangerous to let children outside for recess this week. And I know that sucks. I know that that's a great way for them to release some energy, have some fun, but it's just too dangerous. I mean, we're talking heat index values as high as 120 degrees across the area through the majority of this week, potentially a little higher. Our friends up north over the weekend, Lawrence, Kansas City area, saw heat index values in excess of 130. So students have got to stay indoors this week. It is going to be too dangerous. Those of you that do have to be outdoors, you got to stay hydrated, take those frequent breaks, limit strenuous outdoor activities, wear the lightweight, light-colored clothing, make sure you're checking on the elderly and the pets. So we're still at this range. Heat exhaustion likely, heat stroke possible, but we're not far off from the heat stroke highly likely. And again, with those susceptible populations, it makes it highly likely even though we're not officially there. We also have, especially across southeast Kansas, patchy dense fog into northeast Oklahoma and again southeast Kansas, and it's kind of spread all out. So you're going to run into a stretch where maybe things are pretty clear, and then all of a sudden you hit that patchy fog. So make sure you're giving yourself time to get where you're going this morning. Kids getting on the bus, we're looking at about 72 at 7 a.m. with a calm breeze, and by the time they get home, we're talking right around 98, close to 100, and heat index values by this afternoon around 3, anywhere from 110 potentially to 115. We're sitting at 76 in Joplin, and here's why. Our temperatures this week are not dissimilar from a couple of weeks ago when we had to deal with excessive heat. What is different is dew point and humidity levels are both very high, and they're going to remain that way through the week, and that's why our heat index values are going to be so much higher as we go through this week. And we're a little cooler at Parsons, see 69. We got 68 in Neodesha, 73 in Chanute. Then we go 78 Fort Scott, 75 Nevada, Carthage, Miami, and 74 in Neosho. We get our morning started. We get the partly cloudy to mostly clear skies. Temperatures upper 80s by late morning. Highs today upper 90s, lower 100s under mostly clear skies. So there's really no break from this heat. And as we head into this evening, same thing. We are hot through the evening hours and no relief overnight as as we go back into the upper 70s and lower 80s. However, we do have relief on the way. There's a light at the end of this tunnel. So we have the alert days through Thursday, possible alert day for us on Fridays. We get close to 100, and these heat index values up to 120 will be possible nearly every day this week. But there's the light at the end of the tunnel. By this weekend, there are isolated storm chances, but most importantly at this point is our temperatures fall back into the upper 80s and lower 90s, and as we head into the next work week, they stay there for a little while, staying back again upper 80s and lower 90s. So if we can get through this week, there is relief on the way, but from here to there, it's going to be absolutely miserable and very dangerous with this heat. Let's check your forecast. Now we'll send it over to Caitlin with a check of Health Watch.
Topping Health Watch this morning, about a quarter of older Americans are dealing with dementia or cognitive decline, and they're living alone. A new study suggests that puts their health and safety at risk. Researchers at UC San Francisco interviewed healthcare providers and found such patients who live by themselves often don't have the support network they need to avoid self-neglect, malnutrition, and falls. They say more subsidies are needed for home health aides who can help, especially as the population ages. And more children are dying from firearm injuries in the U.S. A study in the journal Pediatrics finds the rate of children killed by guns jumped more than 40% from 2018 to 2021. And researchers say racial disparities are widening. Nearly 50% of children killed in 2021 were black. The study found higher poverty levels are linked to more gun-related deaths. And following a healthy diet could decrease the chances of pregnancy loss for women undergoing infertility treatment. A study published in JAMA Network tracked hundreds of women being treated for infertility. Those who adhered FTO, a health diet, association diet before treatment and conception, had a lower risk of pregnancy loss. And that's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
And we'll take another look at that dangerous heat when we come back.
Right now at 6:30, KCU Joplin dental students take final steps towards their career and receive their white coats. We take you there.
And we continue with dangerous heat. Alert days now through Thursday, and heat index values as high as 120 degrees. We'll look at your forecast coming up.
Plus, Quapaw community members celebrate the end of summer and start of the school season with a block party.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning, 4 states, and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. The time now is 6:25 a.m. I'm Caitlin O'Shaughnessy.
I'm Chris Warner. I was going to say, do not rewind the clock.
No.
It's Monday. We need to keep moving.
It is. It's Monday, and it's the first day of class for a lot of students here, but seems like that weather is wanting to keep them in summer a little longer.
It unfortunately is. I got 3 going back today. They are somewhat excited. It's kind of been varying. Our youngest has been counting down the days. Like, he's been getting so upset last week because he'd keep asking, how many days until school? We're like, okay, it's four more days. Like, that's going to be forever. And then, we're down to 3 days. He's like, it was just 4. So he's very excited to get back to school, but unfortunately may not be able to get outside and enjoy the playground equipment over the next few days as we've got dangerous heat to contend with. So we have excessive heat warnings across the entire area. Now, Springfield and Wichita both going ahead and putting the warnings out until 10 o'clock Thursday. Tulsa, again, seems to be taking, at least right now, a day-by-day approach as they've got the excessive heat warnings until 8 o'clock this evening, and then they resume again tomorrow and run until 8 o'clock tomorrow evening. But again, these are very likely going to continue across the entire area as we are dealing with that dangerous heat. So one of the tips that's not on here, the number 1 tip, if you don't have to be outside, don't. Stay indoors. And for school administrators, that's what we've been talking about this morning. You've really got to take this into consideration. I mean, by the time it's time for recess, we're looking at heat index values 110 to 115 degrees out there. This is very dangerous heat. And in all honesty, for the safety of the kids and for staff members that have to go watch them when they're outside, they really just need to stay indoors this week. It's just going to be too dangerous to go outside. It's the same as if we were in the middle of December and had extreme cold out there, like we did, back in 2019? they'd have to stay indoors. And this is the same situation, except it's hot instead of cold. If you do have to be outdoors, I know some professions you've got to be. You don't have a choice. Stay hydrated, take frequent breaks, limit the strenuous outdoor activities. Where you can, wear lightweight and light-colored clothing, and make sure you're checking on the elderly, pets, and the children, those susceptible populations. With the heat index values up to 120 possible, we're looking at heat exhaustion likely, heat stroke possible. We're not that far off from here, with heat stroke being highly likely. And over the weekend, Lawrence, Kansas City areas, heat index values exceeded 130 degrees. So we've got to take this heat seriously again. Take a look at this, though. We are getting some super dense fog building in across the area now, especially in our northern counties in southeast Kansas and starting to spread into southwest Missouri, where we got visibility 0.2 of a mile in Fort Scott and right around half a mile in Yates Center, Iola, and Chanute. So if you are traveling this morning, make sure you're giving yourself time to get where you're going, keep an eye on the fog out there and how dense it is. And that's why we're seeing this dangerous heat as well. That's something that I wanted to mention is a couple 3 weeks ago, we had temperatures upper 90s, lower 100s, and we had high heat index values, but they weren't this high. The reason they're considerably higher this go around is our humidity and dew point levels are going to be considerably higher this go around. So that's why you've got to take it seriously. I know we harp on it all the time, but heat can be dangerous. It can be deadly. Now, kids getting on the bus this morning, we're looking at about 72 at 7 a.m. under partly cloudy skies. We're going to go mostly clear this afternoon. By 3, we're looking at temperatures right around 100 degrees with a light north breeze, and those heat index values again, 110, 115 degrees are going to be likely by this afternoon. We do have light at the end of the tunnel, and we will look at your full forecast here in just a few more minutes. Caitlin?
Thanks, Chris. Kansas City University's Oral Health Department hosted their first white coat ceremony Saturday at Joplin High School. 80 students were presented with their white coat to symbolize the start of their caregiving careers. KOAM Jasmine's Night has the story.
For medical professionals, the white coat ceremony is a moment remembered forever. It marks the beginning of their dentistry school journey.
Receiving my white coat today is just a symbol to me of entering the dental profession and being seen as a future dentist in this community.
Jaden Pace is one of 80 students who will start their 4-year journey at Kansas City University. Their mission is to improve the well-being of the communities that they serve. The College of Dental Medicine is also the newest department at Kansas City University.
And throughout that program, we'll give them clinical skills so they learn to be a dentist, but we'll also teach them about professionalism and about resilience. Life can be difficult, so it's important that they understand, how to manage through difficult times.
I chose Kansas City University because I believe that their mission and values directly correlated with my mission of why I'm pursuing dentistry, and that is to improve the oral health of the communities that I'm in and serve specifically this area.
Each student was supported by their closest family and friends as they took the stage and announced their new name.
Student Dr. Malik Aziz from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, graduated from the University of Oklahoma.
So for KCU's Class of 2027, their future is just as bright as their smiles as they begin their career in oral health. Reporting in Joplin, Jasmine Knight, KOAM News.
The ceremony featured guest speaker Chief Glenna Wallace and ended with all students reciting the dental medicine oath. And Joplin High School students now have a safer option to get to school. Saturday, the Joplin School District held a ribbon cutting for a new crosswalk on 20th Street near the high school. The crosswalk features a center island and bright flashing signs to alert motorists that someone is crossing. Officials say there is still some electrical work to be done, but otherwise the project is complete just in time for the start of classes. And First Baptist Church of Oronogo hosted a back-to-school block party in Oronogo City Park. The event gets families together to have fun before the school year begins. First Baptist made this event possible from the offerings at the church. They also want to remind people of the importance of God in the community.
It means to simply do what Jesus did. Go to the people in the community and serve them and show them and tell them of the love of God. And so it is one of the most basic functions of the church, is to get out in the community and show people the love of God. And so it's crucial.
The event featured snow cones, bouncy houses, face painting, food, and loads of fun. And we've got Amber Jenkins live at Soaring Heights Elementary as it's the first day of school in Joplin. How's it going, Amber?
Thank you, Caitlin. Good morning, and it's the first day of school for students in Joplin. We're here live at Soaring Heights Elementary School, welcoming students back for their first day of school. And before we do that, we're going to talk to the principals of Soaring Heights Elementary School. We got Katie Boer and Josh Thompson. How are you guys doing today?
We're doing great. We're so excited to have our students back at school today.
Nice. What's coming up for the upcoming school year? Any changes or?
So one of the things we're focusing on this year is improving attendance. So we've noticed that students have been missing more and more school, and we know that it's really important for our students to be present in the classroom in order to get the services that they need, and we don't want our students to fall behind. So we're going to work with parents this year to improve our attendance overall.
Yes, attendance is very important, especially if you're trying to learn something. And from my understanding, I believe you guys also changed the drop-off pattern for the students?
Absolutely. So we also talked with parents in the years past, and one of the bits of feedback we got was wanting to be able to make the pickup process smoother. So after talking with everybody, we've developed a system to where we're going to hopefully be able to get parents in and out about twice as fast to be able to get back home and be able to get to after-school activities quicker.
Nice. From my understanding, the bus riders are in the front of the school, the car riders are in the back of the school, and you guys have this one lane blocked off where it can be a smooth, easy process. Nice. Well, is there anything that parents need to be aware of for this upcoming school year?
So we just want to make sure parents understand how excited we are to have our students back in school. It takes a whole team to get the building prepared. So our maintenance crew, secretaries, teachers, support staff, food services have all been pulling together since the end of May to prepare our students for this year. And so we really want to emphasize that having the kids in the building gives us purpose, and we want to work with our families to make sure our students have absolutely everything they need.
And I know the teachers are excited as well. We've been standing out here for a good minute. I've been seeing the teachers, lugging books, supplies, and everything into the classrooms. Can you feel the excitement for the teachers as well?
We can. Our teachers have been so excited for weeks, just pounding at the doors to get in. This weekend we said, stay at home, don't come in. Josh and I were both up here this weekend, and the building was full of teachers.
Yeah, we're really excited, and I know that teachers have been getting here bright and early just to make sure everything's perfect for the kids.
Hey, I love to see that. Thank you guys for your time. And Caitlin, back to you.
All right, thanks so much, Amber. We'll check back with you in our 7 o'clock show. And as school is preparing to start around the 4 states, the community of Quapaw came together for the Quapaw Bash. The event was an opportunity for the community to get to know local public safety staff while enjoying various activities before the start of the school year. It included hamburgers and hot dogs, a jump house, a water slide, dunk tank, and much more.
Nowadays with the economy and how hard it is to go do stuff, especially with money, we kind of want something where people can come have fun and do something without having to worry about money. We got free hot dogs, free hamburgers, free fun.
20 different organizations attended and contributed to the event. And Schiffer-Decker Aquatic Center hosted a doggy dive-in event that took place Saturday. The event allowed dogs of all sizes, ages, and breeds to enjoy the water before the pool was drained. It also gives them a way to cool down and escape the heat of the summer. Typically, around 30 dogs come, and for dogs like Salvador, it's the best day of his life.
He loves it. He loves going in the water.
Dogs have a lot of fun when they come out. They get to run around, jump in the water, play with other dogs. It's just like a good way to get them some exercise and kind of make friends with other dogs and just have a good day.
Doggy diving costs $5 for dogs, while humans can get in for free. And that's a look at our top news stories coming up in this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. How buying a home in the U.S. just keeps getting harder with skyrocketing mortgage rates.
And we've got the excessive heat across the air. We also have fog for some of us. Take a look at that right outside the KOAM studios. We'll have another look at that forecast when we come back. But first, another live look from Soaring Heights Elementary in Joplin, as today is the first day of school.
In Consumer Watch this morning, buying a home in the U.S. just keeps getting harder. Mortgage rates are skyrocketing, home prices remain at near record heights, and supply is low. Evan Rodriguez explains what's behind this housing affordability crisis.
Mortgage rates surged this week to their highest level in nearly 2 decades. The combination between low inventory and high costs has squeezed the potential home buyer, also sending sales to about 20% lower than a year ago. Mortgage rates in the United States have soared to their highest level in 21 years. According to data from Freddie Mac released Thursday, the 30-year fixed-rate mortgage averaged 7% this week. A year ago, it was just over 5%. The cause?
You have things like inflation remaining higher than ideal. You've got a lot of kind of concerns about what the Fed is going to do regarding future interest rate hikes.
Another issue facing potential home buyers and driving up prices, a lack of supply. Current homeowners are reluctant to sell, hunkering down with their ultra-low mortgage rates that might be half or less of current rates.
They can sit in that house for a while with a high price on the market until somebody comes along and bites.
For anyone looking to buy a home, waiting out the spike is not necessarily the best option.
You can end up spending even more just because, you waited too long and rates rose instead of fall like you hoped.
Jacob Channel, a senior economist with LendingTree, suggests people focus on the things they can control.
We really don't have enough power to massively influence whether or not mortgage rates rise or fall on average. But we do have the power to boost things like our personal credit scores. We do have the power to save up more for a down payment. We do have the ability to shop around and compare loans from different mortgage lenders.
The bottom line for home buyers is that it will continue to be difficult to find affordable prices for homes as mortgage rates are tacked on to already elevated prices. In Atlanta, I'm Ivan Rodriguez.
There's an uproar on X over the weekend after owner Elon Musk hinted the social platform, formerly known as Twitter, will be doing away with the block button. Users criticized the potential move, saying the tool helps to protect against online harassment. X's CEO also posted, quote, "Our users' safety on X is our #1 priority, and we're building something better than the current state of block and mute," end quote. Philadelphia Orchestra musicians have voted to authorize a strike if negotiations toward a new contract with better pay fails. The current 4-year contract expires September 10th. Orchestra management says it's disappointed by the strike authorization decision, but will continue to negotiate in good faith towards a fiscally responsible agreement. And General Motors will cut its robotaxi fleet in half in San Francisco after recent crashes. California's Department of Motor Vehicles requested the reduction after a GM Cruise autonomous vehicle collided with a fire truck last week. It comes just days after regulators authorized Cruise and Google autonomous robotaxis to operate at all hours in the city despite safety worries. And that's it for Consumer Watch. Now here's Chris Warner with another look at your forecast.
Yeah, we don't only have the dangerous heat to deal with all week long, but we're also dealing with some patchy, dense fog across the area. Now, as we've been mentioning, and I'm checking again, we don't have any current dense fog advisories, but you see, especially in our northern counties, look at Chanute, 0 visibility, a 1/10 of a mile Yates Center. We have very low visibility, especially across parts of southeast Kansas and then into the western edges of Vernon County and Barton County in southwest Missouri. And so here's what that looks like. You can see some of that fog. This is the KDOT camera on 69 just south of Pittsburgh. And if you look back to the north toward the city, you can see that that fog is relatively dense. And our camera, which of course we're just north of Crestline to the east of Columbus on 69, you can see that that fog is pretty dense. So if you're traveling this morning, you need to give yourself plenty of time to get where you're going. And then you've also got to deal with that dangerous heat as we head through this upcoming week. And we're going to have a complete look at your forecast here in just a few more minutes. But first, it's almost time to celebrate Monday's birthdays and anniversary. They are up after the break, but these fine folks in New York City sitting down, getting ready for CBS Mornings, and we're going to find out what they have to bring us today.
I'm Tony DeCopel. Coming up on CBS Mornings, our series The Dish introduces you to a longtime home cook who took a leap of faith and opened her own restaurant at the tender age of 59. That's coming up on CBS Mornings.
All right, time for some Monday birthdays here in the 4 states. We're going to begin with Sawyer Joe with the catch of the day there, celebrating the big number 6. Happy birthday, Sawyer.
And happy Sweet 16 to Zach Davis.
And down in Seneca, we've got Avery Arlington celebrating number 18. Says happy birthday from Mom, Dad, Aspen, Tyler, Olivia, I apologize, Amory, and the rest of the family.
And happy 43rd birthday to Jana Harp. It says, amazing daughter, sister, wife, and mom, we love you, your family.
And Jody Allen also celebrating number 43 over in Joplin. Says, happy birthday, Jody, we love you, from Steve and Darlene.
Over in Carthage, Missouri, it is Bob Akers' 70th birthday with a note that says, "With love from your wife Carol and the rest of the family."
And we've also got Paul Hamilton with another catch of the day, celebrating birthday number 75. Happy birthday, Paul.
And happy 76th birthday to Kay Trimble Smith over in Joplin, Missouri.
And Keenan Shaw celebrating a birthday in Webb City. Happy birthday.
Taking it to Columbus, happy birthday to Debbie Evans. Have a good one, Debbie.
And in Greenbush, John Oplotnik celebrating another year wiser. Happy birthday, John.
And Laura Boyd Stone, happy birthday to you.
And we've also got Dave and Janie Ruddick celebrating their 29th anniversary in Columbus. Happy anniversary to the Ruddicks.
And also in Columbus, happy 8th birthday to Lainey Jo Saporito.
And in Pittsburgh, Lori Reno celebrating number 37, says, "You're the best birthday present ever. Love, Mom."
Oh, that's sweet. And over in Iola, Kansas, happy 57th birthday to Robin Town.
And we've got Barbara Medler celebrating number 94 in Joplin. Hope it's a great one, Barbara.
And happy birthday to Nancy Roten over in Columbus.
And Terry McKinnock's in Pittsburgh celebrating a birthday today. Happy birthday, Terry.
And finally, over in Columbus, Kansas, happy 32nd anniversary to Curtis and Rachel Gregory. Congratulations, you two.
That is 5 celebrations on this list alone in Columbus, so the party definitely in the bus, and we want to party with you as well. Caitlin, how can they help us?
Well, please send us your birthdays and anniversaries with messages and pictures to birthdays@KOAMnewsnow.com, and we would love to hear from you and celebrate your special day on air.
And of course, while you're on our website, take time to sign up for the KOAM Birthday Club. You get special deals from local businesses. You also get a special birthday message from your friends here at KOAM. So head over to the KOAMnewsnow.com and sign up for that birthday club today. All right, we got a lot of weather to talk about, especially this morning, because we got a lot of stuff going on. We're going to start with the dangerous heat. We have excessive heat warnings for all of us as we head through this week. Now, Wichita and Springfield offices have gone ahead and put these out until 10 o'clock Thursday. Tulsa is running until 8 this evening, and then it'll kick in again tomorrow and run until 8 Tuesday. But I would not be surprised if we see this continue to be extended, as we're looking at heat index values this week potentially as high as 120 degrees. So the number one extreme heat safety tip: simply don't be outside unless you absolutely have to. And if you absolutely have to, you need to stay hydrated, take frequent breaks, limit strenuous outdoor activities, wear lightweight, light-colored clothing, check on elderly and the pets and children. And this is for, of course, the schools. Everybody getting back to school now this week. You've got to weigh the decision for recess, any outdoor time, with how dangerous this heat could be, because by the time we get to that point for recess, those heat index values, depending on where you are, could be anywhere from 105 to 115 degrees. That makes it just too dangerous for kids to be running and jumping and rolling and all that fun stuff they like to do. I know they love to do it, believe me, but it's going to be too dangerous for them to do that this week. So just take that into consideration, as heat exhaustion is likely, heat stroke possible, and we're not that far off from the point of heat stroke being highly likely. We're also dealing with dense fog across the area, especially in our northern counties in southeast Kansas and stretching into parts of Vernon and Barton counties in southwest Missouri. Look at Chanute, 0 visibility, only 1/10 of a mile in Yates Center, 7/10 of a mile, Iola, Fort Scott, and down below a mile now in Pittsburgh. Here's the KDOT camera at 69 and East 520 south of Pitt, and you can see some of that fog laying off on the side of the roadway. And this is our camera just north of Crestlines on 69, and you can see visibility is very low just outside our very own studio here. So you got to be prepared for that patchy, dense fog. Now, kids getting on the bus at 7 a.m. We're looking at 72, partly cloudy skies and fog for some of us. And then I pressed the wrong button, but that's all right. It's going to be hot later this afternoon, about 100 degrees by 3 o'clock. Heat index values easily pushing upwards of 105 to 110. We are looking at clear skies in Joplin, no fog on this side of the state line, 76, and here's why our heat index values are going to be so bad this week. Dew point and humidity both up there, and they're going to remain that way through the week ahead. We've got a warm start for a number of us, 76 Iola, 77 Fort Scott, Nevada, a little cooler in parts of southeast Kansas, 68 Neodesha, 69 Parsons, 71 Independence, 74 Chitopa, 75 Miami, 73 Neosho, 74 in Carthage. And as we get our morning started, we are looking at partly cloudy to mostly clear skies. Again, some of us dealing with some of that fog, but again, keeping an eye on dense fog advisories, and none are out there. And we're going to eventually make it into the upper 80s by late morning ahead of a very hot day. Well, have another look at your forecast and when relief will get here, because it will get here in just a few more minutes. And when the KOAM Morning News switches over to Fox 14, we're going to tell you about a raccoon that broke into a church in Milwaukee and left quite a mess behind.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. Pittsburgh police say a man is dead after an early Sunday morning shooting outside of a bar. It happened by Jimmy B's bar at 202 North Locust Street around 1:15 yesterday morning. The victim has been identified as 36-year-old Justin Krogan of Pittsburgh. Police believe the shooting was an isolated incident that may have stemmed from an argument. There's been no word of a suspect or of anyone in custody. However, they are asking the public for help in identifying anyone in this photo of people that were at the bar. If you have any information, contact the Pittsburgh Police Department. There was also an early Sunday morning shooting near a bar in Joplin. This one happened around 1:30 yesterday morning in the 500 block of Joplin Avenue. Police say a patrol officer heard a gunshot, responded, and found a man with a gunshot wound. The victim was taken to a hospital where he was last reported in critical but stable condition. JPD is asking anyone with information to come forward. Joplin High School students now have a safer option to get to school. Saturday, the Joplin School District held a ribbon cutting for a new crosswalk on 20th Street near the high school. The crosswalk features a center island and bright flashing signs to alert motorists that someone is crossing. Officials say there is still some electrical work to be done, but otherwise the project is complete just in time for the start of classes today. And Schiffer-Decker Aquatic Center hosted a doggy dive-in event that took place Saturday. The event allowed dogs of all sizes, ages, and breeds to enjoy the water before the pool is drained. It also gives them a way to cool down and escape the heat of the summer. Typically, around 30 dogs come, and for dogs like Salvador, it's the best day of his life. And that's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
All right, quick reminder, alert days now through Thursday. Heat index values as high as 120. We're looking at partly cloudy, mostly clear skies for the afternoon. Highs upper 90s, lower 100s. No relief from the heat through the evening as we stay hot. We're still 90 by 8. And our overnight lows, no break there either, back into the upper 70s and lower 80s. We're looking at lower 100s at least through Thursday, and those heat index values up to 120 through at least Thursday. Keeping an eye on temperatures and humidity on Friday, and then again Saturday, Sunday. That's where the relief finally gets here. We got some isolated thunderstorm chances, and our temperatures begin to fall back to a much more reasonable level into the upper 80s and lower 90s.
All right, well, coming up today at noon, we're making Asian honey garlic chicken in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
And your morning news continues on KOAM with CBS Mornings.
Or you can switch on over with us on Fox 14, where your only local morning news continues. This morning, a former inmate opens up about his own food truck to serve prison-like food.
Plus, we'll be live from Soaring Heights Elementary School in Joplin, because today is the first day back to school for many students, especially on the Missouri side. I know some in Oklahoma and Kansas already back in school, but the last round's starting to get going today. And that's going to wrap it up for us for now. We will be back here tomorrow morning, bright and early at 5 a.m.
And we'll see you today at noon.